there's some massive news that is coming out here. The Los Angeles Lakers are officially getting Jaxson Hayes back today, and he will be healthy. He is good to go. He obviously had the injury, and Marcus Smart on the other side of this is not playing. He has been ruled out. Right quad injury, unfortunate. He's been downgraded to out. But maybe this is a time for some other guys to be able to kind of step up. I want to talk about what these, guys coming back and guys being ruled out. I kind of want to talk about some of what this means. I think Jaxson Hayes being back is a really, really, really good sign for the Lakers. And not because I think Jaxson Hayes is like the superstar caliber player, but, we did see Jaxson Hayes at some point last year have success, before the playoffs kind of begun. He was playing pretty well. He was able to catch passes. He was able to play a little bit of defense. He was able to score and hustle, right? And I think for the Lakers, to make that your number 2 guy, keep in mind, Hayes also had a lot of success while Anthony Davis was here with the Lakers. To make Jaxson Hayes your number 2, right? Give him that second role once again. I think this benefits the Lakers a lot. This also allows DeAndre Ayton to come off the court, and you can still have some sort of presence out there in terms of defense. Now, I know Jaxson Hayes isn't like a super, super, super legit defender, but he can jump. He can defend in terms of, at least contest shots. And I think for the Lakers, that is going to help out a little bit. So we'll see how Jaxson Hayes kind of fits into this. On the other side of it, not having Marcus Smart, I think really does suck. Because as JJ Redick kind of pointed this out, and, if you have eyeballs and you watch the game, you guys kind of saw the struggles a little bit. 23 total turnovers against the Trailblazers. To me, one of the main reasons why they lost was because of those turnovers and the fact that they didn't really have a number 2 guy to handle the ball. And truth be told, they're not going to have a number 2 guy to handle the ball for a couple of weeks at this point. If you're being 100% honest, Gabe Vincent, his timeline is 2 to 4 weeks. We don't know when he's going to be back. He could easily miss 10 to 15 games at this point. On the other side of it, Luka was given the 7-day timeline, but I don't even know if he'll be back in that time frame, right? We don't really know when he'll be back. So you're looking at 5 or 6 games at this point where you might not have a number 2 ball handler. And for the Lakers, you're kind of hoping that Marcus Smart would be back because he could technically handle the ball. But this also does allow other guys to potentially step up. So we'll see which guys can kind of step up. Obviously, Marcus Smart will not play. Will it be Jake LaRavia, who kind of had a disappointing night the other day? Will it be Dalton Knecht, who started to show a little bit of confidence? Or will it be a guy in Nick Smith Jr., who some people really, really, really liked? Smith, to me, is an interesting player. And I want to just talk about him here in this for a little bit, and then we'll talk about a trade that just kind of went down for the Lakers. Nick Smith, he's kind of an interesting player because he came out there with confidence, and he missed some shots, but, he was confident. You could tell, he could handle the ball pretty well. He was able to drive to the basket a couple times. He only scored 2 points, but he looked confident out there, and he's a guy that I think, we'll see what he can provide. But, if you're looking at a guy to come off the bench and say, hey, we need a guy that can handle the ball, he might be the number 2 option going into this game. There's a real chance the Lakers might rely on Nick Smith after what we kind of saw yesterday, or what we saw, the day before yesterday against the Portland Trailblazers. We'll see what ends up kind of happening. We'll see the rotation. Jaxson Hayes back at this point as well. But a trade actually went down, and I want to just kind of talk about this really quickly because, I think the guy's a pretty interesting basketball player. And I think there's definitely some upside in Drew Timme, who is coming over from the Nets affiliated G League, coming over to the South Bay Lakers. This guy's an interesting player. He's going into his 3rd season. While he was at Gonzaga, he looked really, really, really good, right? He averaged 21.2 points per game with Gonzaga. He goes to a couple of different teams, ends up with the Brooklyn Nets, and he played a little bit last year outside of the G League, right? He actually played for the Nets. He averaged 12.1 points per game in the 9 games that he played in, which is pretty good if you guys ask me, right? 12.1 points per game, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. The guy can shoot, and I think for the Lakers, this is something that you can definitely utilize a little bit. I don't expect Drew Timme to come in and be a superstar, obviously, but, how often do you find guys that can shoot shots that are 6'9", 6'10", right? It doesn't come around all that often. And I think for the Lakers, you have some guys that you're kind of relying on a little bit that have not really panned out. You have guys like Maxi Kleber, for example. I don't even know if he's going to be with the team at this point in 6 weeks from this point because he hasn't been healthy at all, and he's been here for a long time at this point, right? You also have other guys, you know, where you're relying on, can they develop, will be consistent. Drew Timme is just an interesting play, right? So we'll see what ends up happening. Also, the entire roster was technically announced. If you guys want to see the actual roster, here it is. Some interesting players, right? You got some two-way guys. You have some returning guys. You have some guys that were traded for recently as well. RJ Davis is a guy that I'm actually excited to watch coming out of North Carolina. I think Davis has kind of flashed. If you watched him in college, pretty good. We'll see what some of these guys can kind of do. We'll see if the two-way guys can, given their two-way guys, if they can, be the most successful players on the South Bay Lakers, or if someone else steps up, right? Drew Timme, again, it's just a guy to kind of keep an eye on. We'll see kind of how he looks as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. We got a game coming up here against the Timberwolves. Obviously, will be a difficult game for the Lakers, given this is a completely different team than when Luka was obviously healthy. That game that Luka had, phenomenal, right on, I think it was on Friday. Completely different game at this point, right? Or I should say completely different roster. Jaxson Hayes, we'll see what he can kind of do. We'll see how he rotates back into the lineup and kind of how he plays. Do they use DeAndre Ayton and Jaxson Hayes together at any point? That would be interesting. I'm going to say no, but who knows what could happen. Would be an interesting lineup to kind of see. Let me know what you guys think, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. We are covering the Lakers on this channel. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.